Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome to my review for the first episode of Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger, the 45th anniversary Sentai series. So how was it? Honestly, I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed myself quite a bit in this episode. I feel as if both Zenkaiger and Dino Fury have immense potential to disappoint me as the year goes on, based on just some of my preferences and based on how the things have gone in the past in regards to certain things, but I'm going to try to soak in with both of them the time where I'm enjoying it. So I really enjoyed this first episode. I thought it was solid. I do have some kind of interesting thoughts on the whole setup of it, but we'll get to that at the end. Before we fully get started though, I wanted to take a minute to thank today's sponsor for this video, which is Ridge Wallet, the sleek new take on the wallet, which has been really amazing for me. As I've said in the past, I would never do a sponsorship if it wasn't something I used myself, and thankfully months ago Ridge decided to partner with me and they sent me this, and I've been using it for months now. I'm gonna switch over to this one now, which is the carbon fiber, which looks honestly pretty sick. I'm probably gonna switch right after this video, but I've been using it for months now steadily. I mentioned in my last little ad for it that I really wanted to change from my old style wallet, which I'm gonna show the same footage again, but it made me look like I was stuffing my pockets full of merchandise and running out of the store just perpetually. It fits everything I need, up to 12 cards, RFID protected, and it's got a lifetime warranty and free returns worldwide, so you're pretty set if you're looking for a way to sleeken up, that's a very technical term, sleeken up your style. They also have tons of other cool stuff on their site you can check out. And the last one, I also mentioned this cool little door opener you have, which is kind of perfect for the world we're living in right now, or if you just want to get your Adrian Monk on. So be sure to check out Ridge.com and use the code DAWSOME to get a 10% discount. Thanks again, Ridge, so much for sponsoring this video. So basically, we start off with the villains basically capturing Sentai worlds, because this time we're deciding all the Sentai are in separate worlds. So they're all being captured, like, I don't know why, but it reminded me of the scene in the beginning of Pokemon 2000 when he's capturing legendary birds. I don't know why, but he's doing that. He's got Articuno, he's got Zapdos, he's got Moltres, and then we meet our protagonist, Kaito, who is a little bit of your typical energetic Sentai Red. I know he's the White Ranger, but you know what I mean. The Sentai lead, I guess. I don't know why lead is correct. I don't know why I did quotes for that. Anyway, and you know what? He's okay so far. He has definite potential to annoy me, but he's not so bad so far. I didn't mind him in the first episode. But we meet him, and he wants to bungee jump off his tower. And one thing that I thought was pretty funny in this episode is, I don't know if it's going to be a reoccurring bit through the series, but I kind of hope it is they have this bit where they set up, like, they call it imagined outcome. So they propose a scenario, and then they show what the character's thinking might happen, and it's pretty funny. Like, you have that moment here with him bungee jumping, and it shows what he's thinking is going to happen. And then later on, when he gets his changer, he tries to give one of them to his grandmother, and then he, like, imagines the two of them about to transform together. And I think that scene was in the trailer, and I don't know, I thought that was really funny, and I think it was a funny, like, comedic device, and I'm kind of looking forward to that being a thing, because I thought it was pretty funny. But we meet him, and then pretty much after we meet him, when he gets dragged out by the police, all the Kikinoids show up, because they have just showed up in our world. And this is another weird comparison, but so they show up, and then they do a time jump, and they're like, oh, it's been so-and-so time since the Kikinoids have showed up, and our world's gotten used to it. I don't know why, but it reminded me of the Power of Three from Doctor Who, when the world just got used to the cubes being there. I know it's a very different situation, since the cubes are cubes, and these are like robot people, but just the flash forward just kind of reminded me of that. But basically, the humans have gotten used to robots living there. We get to meet Juran, who's like, hey, my young fellow youths, and he's like hanging out with them. And he's low-key my favorite character so far. I don't know why, I just really like his personality. He's kind of like funny and charming and a little bit bumbling, but he's also kind of cool. He sort of reminds me of a less in-your-face Momotaros, if that makes any sense, but I like him so far. But then the villains are hatching their plan, and they're like, this is the only world we need to conquer. And then maybe someone can explain this to me, because as you guys know, I'm the dumbest boy in school. But they decide, okay, well, instead of just capturing this world like the legendary birds, let's slowly conquer it like any other Sentai, because we'll gain more territory. I'm not sure how that works. If you just take the whole world, you have all the territory. Kikinoid villains versions are attacking, and it causes people to basically start to be prejudiced against the Kikinoids, because then all of a sudden they don't like Juran because they think he's going to fight him, because he picks up a rock to fight one of the villains, which I thought was clear, but then the people thought he was going to attack him as well. And basically, there's kind of a weird scene where Kaito's really disheartened by all this, but then he hugs his little fake Navi and has a flashback to when his parents gave it to him, and they gave him a speech about, you know, not giving up and persevering past your mistakes, and he decides he's going to save the world. It's a very nonsensical, rushed motivation. I think the idea is that he's so inspired by his parents finding parallel worlds that he was disappointed that all of a sudden it ended up being a bad thing, but he wants to prove it wrong. At least that's what I tried to infer, but it was a little bit rushed and just kind of a weird, classic loud protagonist thing, just be like, I'm gonna save the world! I'm like, who the hell are you? But it's whatever. Because after that, the bird then takes him and the granny down to the base and explains that in addition to the Kikanoi world, all of his parents found all of the Sentai worlds, and that's where they based the changers off of and the gears. So I think that was kind of cool, because we might get more in-depth stuff on it later, but I like that we basically explained where the powers came from, and I think that's kind of cool that they studied it and gave them the powers based on the Rangers, and it's, though they might get stuff later when they meet actual Rangers, but as of right now, I like that it's like different from Gokaiger in that example. And like I said, he tries to give it to his grandmother, but she doesn't want to, and I like her character so far too. I found her to be very likable in this episode. But he rushes out, he sees Juren saving this little kid, and there's a really nice moment where the kid recognizes that Juren's not a bad guy, and he just gives Juren the changer, and they transform. And it was pretty cool. I really like the Henshin sequence. The suits and general uniqueness of the show has grown on me, especially Zenkaiger's suit, which I really like. And then, you know, they fight. We get to see how the gears work, which we knew from the scans, but basically, it kind of gives them an ability. It's almost like Digimodify, but with the Sentai. It's like, Digimodify! Juoger! And so he gets, like, eagle wings, and they have some of the Juoger sound effects. Juren uses Ninja, so he gets, like, super ninja speed and stuff like that. And the monster grows big, so Juren grows big. He uses his animal form and fights him, and Zenkaiger uses the finisher, and it's pretty cool. I always like having ground and Megazord battles happen at the same time. It's something that Kira Major did sometimes, something that Go Busters did, and I think it just keeps things fresh. And it was really cool when the two of them did their finishers at the same time. I thought that was pretty neat. And we kind of end the episode, you know, setting up this initial status quo with them being together at the, was it a cafe? The grandma's base? Whatever, but like the status quo with them and the grandmother and being friends and whatnot. There's like a cliffhanger. There's a cliffhanger of everybody's heads, human and robot alike, getting mushroom heads. And I thought that was kind of nice. I can't think of a time, or at least very many times, where that's happened, where you have a cliffhanger on episode 1. But I really enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was a lot of fun. It had a good energy. I thought it had some good humor. I think that might be hit or miss for some people, but I don't feel like it's all the way a parody series like something like Car Ranger, or all the way something more serious like Gokaiger. It's kind of in the middle, and most of the fun stuff they did I thought was fun or funny, like the imagined outcome bit, or when they started doing like the music for the changer, Juren was dancing to it, which I found amusing. Also, the music's much more clear than when I did the review, but the da 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 sounds like the Jumanji music. Maybe it's just me, but yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I think this is a series that could go either way. I don't want it to be like Gokaiger because I want to see something different, but one thing I would like to see it do, which Gokaiger did well amongst all the anniversary seasons I've seen from other shows, is that it felt like the Gokaiger story was just as important as the anniversary celebration, and right now this feels like a solid mix in the first episode. My main concern is I just want to make sure that I care about the Zenkaigers and their story outside of them being a vehicle for an anniversary, but for the most part I thought the first episode sold that pretty well, because I guess I could see this premise happening without Sentai, but it was pretty fun. I mean, there is some rushed bits too, as always, like with Kaito's motivation and Juren just all of a sudden being recruited, but it's kind of par for the course. But that being said, I was really impressed that we only debuted him and Juren in the first episode, and it looks like based on the preview we're only going to get Gaon next week. And I'm going to imagine, or at least speculate, I haven't read any of the future episode titles if they're out, that Pink and Blue might happen at the same time. Blue was working, he's working as a janitor for the villains, so we did get to see him, but I mean debut as a ranger. And that would be fine, even if they debut, what accent is that? Even if they debut Pink and Blue together, I still appreciate the slow burn. That was some praise I gave to Kara Major at the beginning, as I like how I felt I was eased into everything, and it allowed me to get invested, and I was impressed that they decided to only debut those two, which makes sense because you have the red and then the leader. I really thought this was going to be more rushed. I think because it's such a in your face anniversary series, and they want to sell toys obviously to get profits up, I assumed it was going to be really rushed and they were going to debut everybody and everything to get the toy sales out there, except for maybe Pink and Blue's Mecha, since that doesn't come out till next month. But you know what I mean, so I was surprised by that. So overall, I had a really fun time with this. You know, who knows, it could disappoint me later, but as of right now, it was enjoyable. I would give it a 4 out of 5. The only thing I wanted to talk about here at the end is how funny I find it Sentai and writers, both of their logic when it comes to their handling of their universe and multiverse, because Gokaiger acted like all the Sentai were in the same world, and Zenkaiger says they're all in separate worlds. And when I first got into Sentai, I feel like the general consensus was they're all supposed to be in separate worlds so that the creators would have freedom with the universes they created. But then there was kind of this loose versus world where the team-ups came, and I think once upon a time it used to even say 2 teams that should never have met. And then, for my headcanon, it was fine. Gokaiger just takes place in the versus world, and then they're all separate. So that's fine, and that's what I'm going to consider here for Zenkaiger, is that they're all separate, but then there's the Gokaiger world. Except when they meet Gokaiger, how does that work? Is there 2 worlds where they're all together? I don't know. It's more of a nitpicky thing. I think it's because I'm so into stories that have multiverses that when it's mishandled so grossly, it bothers me. But I still think Sentai is less messy than Rider. I think more than anything, I just find it funny. Especially with how popular Gokaiger is, and they just acted like everyone was in the same world. And then this one's in different worlds. But hey, even if it's confusing, at least it's better than Gio's initial confusion. Because Gio was just stupid, and then they tried to explain it later, but it was too late for me, son. But anyway, that's about it for this one, guys. What did you think of Zenkaiger? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.